Hey, what's going on everybody? Dr. Zach Long here from the barbellphysio.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to talk a little bit about the best exercise that's not really utilized enough in strength and conditioning and the rehab world for athletes that have a very difficult time engaging their glutes and using their glutes to finish hip extension during exercises like deadlifts, kettlebell swings, and the Olympic lift. Let me give you an example of an athlete that this exercise that we'll get to in a minute would be good for. Let's take somebody doing a deadlift. As they come up and they start to reach the end of the lift, instead of squeezing their glutes, finishing the exercise with a strong glute contraction, getting full hip extension, instead they stop a little short of full hip extension and lock out by arching their low back. That doesn't put their low back in the best position from a performance and safety standpoint. They'd be a lot better off if they learned how to control their glutes, use their glutes through full range of motion. What most people want to go to with an athlete with this problem is a simple, basic exercise like a glute bridge where the athlete's laying on their back and their knees are bent and they're squeezing their glutes and lifting up. That's a fine exercise, but a lot of athletes don't take that simple exercise and translate that into their kettlebell swings and their deadlifts and their Olympic lifts. And instead, a better exercise for a lot of these athletes to do are pull-throughs. Pull-throughs work the hip hinge pattern a little bit better because it is an actual hip hinge pattern. And it's also that the pull-through is done in standing, which is where deadlifts, kettlebell swings, and Olympic lifts are done. So it's a little bit more specific to the environment that they'll be actually doing those top-tier movements in. So to do the pull-through, I'm going to use a band today, but you can also use a cable column if you have access to that as well. But I'm going to grab the band, I'm going to get it between my legs, and I'm going to walk out so that I got a little tension on the band. I've got my core tight, I'm not arching my back, I'm staying neutral in the spine. I'm going to bend over at the waist, performing a hip hinge pattern. So my back is staying neutral, my hamstrings are loaded in this bottom position. I feel a little bit of a stretch, and I'm going to squeeze my glutes, and I'm going to use my glutes to get that final bit of hip extension. Again, not doing that back arch like we talked about earlier. Bands make a great way to do this, but cable stacks are also a really good tool. At times I actually like those cable columns a little bit more because the resistance stays even throughout the movement with a cable column versus with the band, I don't have any tension when I'm in that bottom position. What that will allow me to do a lot of times is have somebody really work on the eccentric, the lowering portion of the movement, and they're lowering under load, which a lot of times can have really good impact on mobility. Either way, it's an awesome exercise to incorporate as a strength movement or as a warm-up movement. If you've got a lot of deadlifts coming up or a lot of kettlebell swings, throw these pull-throughs in your warm-up, get your glutes engaging, get your glutes helping to push your hip into max hip extension and get you ready for your workout.